What is with that picture, Tony? Like,
What
I
picture?
sign into Skype and then I look over and it says Tony the Tiger's online, and it's you like leaning on a chair.
It's not a chair. It's a C-stand. It's a
I
self-portrait I
see.
did. It's a self-portrait I did a couple years ago.
I was like, what the hell is this?
That's my like.
So
I
if
got a
my
couple
calculations are correct, we're live right now.
in.
What?
Wait,
Who just swore like the world was
No,
ending?
that was me. It was completely unrelated.
Okay.
It's fishing sit, so you just don't want to hear about it.
What is the spawn over or something?
No,
Us.
there's this not old, but like slightly older gentleman in my club. There's 5 tournaments left in the season, and if I fish all 5, I can fish the TOC. And he's trying to convince me to fish all 5 of them. He's like, "I'll pay all the gas. You're just gonna cover your tournament fees." I'm kind of tempted, but it's still a lot of money.
Are you on Twitch?
No, we're
we're
on our
YouTube.
channel.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All your pictures are frozen for me, but no big deal.
Your picture's frozen for me, but Chris and Sean are fine.
Yeah, that.
And
Oh,
now,
I swear to
now
God.
it's your self-portrait.
I feel like my hat's all fucked up.
Here we go.
So we're
This could be
live,
a
guys.
What the fuck, Tony?
What?
All right, let's go. Go ahead, Chris. Take it.
All
Take it
right.
away.
Well, welcome, guys, to the GameSpeak video podcast, episode 2. We are
It's been a while.
unscripted today. We don't have any topics written down or anything, but there's a plethora of things that I think we can talk about. So to start it off, I think we'll get into Battlefield 4. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Do you have something you want to jump off with? Because if not, I
Well-
do.
Okay, yeah, go.
Okay, so most recent news actually came up yesterday was DICE came out and they said that they would not be giving Battlefield 4 beta access to BF3 premium members. I understand where they're coming from on this, but I wholeheartedly disagree with what they're doing. Let's discuss.
They're giving it to Medal of Honor pre-order people, right?
That's the only way you can get to the Battlefield 4 beta access is if you
Then-
pre-order Medal of Honor at this moment.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna
they're
say, let
tempting
me
you
just
to
stop
buy
you right
Medal of
there.
Honor.
Because what it is the wording, the wording is getting skewed. It was, at this moment, the only guarantee into the Battlefield 4 beta is by pre-ordering Medal of Honor.
Yeah.
I think what they're trying to quell is people asking if by buying premium they were going to get into the beta automatically, and to which they were saying no. So I think it's a different of. I think there's a miscommunication going on.
I think it's just people's expectations. They expect to get more from premium.
You'd think you'd get a little something out of it, you know? But I mean, this is their way to make you buy Medal of Honor, or to make you want to buy Medal of Honor, even if you're on the fence about it, I guess. And
Well, I never bought Medal of Honor 2010, and I played in the Battlefield 3 beta. You just gotta wait. I mean, you just won't get that super early access.
Which is
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know. It would be really nice to get involved with it, especially if it's like upwards of a month early. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll do the same thing with Battlefield 4 they did Battlefield 3. They'll still give it to everyone, but like you had just said, Chris, at a later point. Whereas maybe you get to be a part of like a closed beta a month early if you pre-order Medal of Honor.
But, okay, so with people, if you're going off the idea that people are upset that the only way to get in right now to the beta is through Medal of Honor, if you go on YouTube, you can find alpha footage. They had a closed alpha that people were involved in for Battlefield 3, which would be
Wasn't
even
that
more awesome.
PC only though?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean,
they had the same thing with Medal of Honor 2010, too. They had an alpha and beta, I think. But so what's the deal now? Is Medal of Honor going to be the Treyarch, basically, of
yeah, that-
Battlefield? That's
Yeah,
the business model, I guess?
it's not as defined as the Activision counterpart of like Treyarch Infinity Ward switching back and forth, but just because I don't know the exact situation with Medal of Honor 2010. What was it? DICE did the single player, or
No, DICE
someone
did
else
online.
Dice did
It
online.
was
Someone else
it
did
was
the single player.
Danger Close is the
Yeah.
developing studio.
Yeah, so we had Bad Company 2 in 2009, then Medal of Honor, then Battlefield 3, now Medal of Honor, and then Battlefield 4.
And that makes sense. And
So it's the
I-
Call of Duty model, they just have a different game.
right.
Basically,
And
yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. It's happening with every series. There's a new Gears of War coming out next year.
Yeah, March, right?
I mean, it's the days of having like 4 years between your major sequels is pretty much gone because, and people like to bitch that that's a bad thing, but people get bored of games anyway. So what's the problem? If
I
new
was
games
going to
come
say,
out?
you know what? I get bored of an online shooter in like 6 months if I'm playing it a lot. While I can still play Black Ops and like the other games and stuff, like MW3 this time only lasted me 30 hours, and even though Battlefield 3 is great, man, a whole year on one game,
Yeah,
unless you
yeah.
have that downloadable content coming out every couple of months and shaking it up, it gets really boring. And even then, you know what I
How
mean? I
long
mean,
does
it's
it
still
really-
going to get boring.
Yeah, how long does the downloadable content really last you?
Yeah, and plus you got to throw down money on that anyway. So
Well,
Right.
what I like about this model is the fact that you're going to be playing a completely different game for the next year. So you're going to have the Medal of Honor before Battlefield 4 instead of like Call of Duty, where it's like Call of Duty, but it might be Infinity Ward and then Treyarch and Infinity Ward. It's still Call of Duty, so you're getting the same shit, different day, different developer. In this way, at least you're getting a completely different look and feel of
yeah,
a video game that's still coming out by DICE. It's still coming out by EA. So I like that. I do like that.
yeah, because Medal of Honor was a lot different than Bad Company 2 or Battlefield 3. Like it wasn't like just kind of a rehash. It was different.
Yeah.
So it will be a completely different game. So it's not the same necessarily.
Which is a good thing. But I think it's going to be, I think that's guaranteed to be different because they're going to continue supporting Battlefield 3 during the first however many months of the Medal of Honor life cycle. So
Yeah.
I hope they support Medal of Honor. I
Yeah,
hope they
right?
make it a good
Seriously.
game and a good effort. 'Cause
Yeah, how long
even though
did... I was going to say Medal of Honor 2010 got a couple patches,
out-
but then it was game breaking, right? Like the snipers broke the game because they refused to
Sure,
patch
yeah.
it. Is
No,
that the
they
way
did
it was
patch
left?
it.
They did patch the snipers because in Tier 1 the snipers were one shot, one kill.
Yeah, the thing is just the sniper rifles were really powerful. It was the most powerful class, so everybody wanted to do it, which made it a big camp fest. There was no kill cams, so you didn't know where you were getting shot from unless you really knew the maps and you kind of just guessed. And there wasn't any variety. There was only a few
Yeah.
different game modes. Last time I played it, and this was only a couple of months after release, or maybe maybe like 3 months. It was like 2,000 people online. So
Yeah. Yeah,
it got hit
not a lot
hard.
of people anymore. But
So-
it was. I mean, it did suffer from some spawn trapping issues and actually spawn killing because you could sit in one building and look directly into the enemy spawn and they'd spawn right in front of you. What was that one map called? It was some sort of like a village or square or whatever.
Garsmere Town or something.
Something like that, yeah. So if
Yeah.
you were if you were the insurgents, you could shoot down on the Marines as they spawned. It was ridiculous.
And you could just bring the air support down one right after the
there,
other, and
yeah,
one led
exactly.
to the other, and so that's I think what frustrated people more than anything because all the snipers are still there.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, one of the best things in my head from Medal of Honor, I never played the game, but I remember hearing about like the kill streak system and thinking it was like the best possible way to do kill streaks. Would you say they're making a return in that style?
If they didn't,
there was nothing wrong
if they
with it,
didn't,
right?
It'd be a tragedy. No,
Yeah, seriously.
you could capture if you captured a flag, those points went towards your kill streak or your score chain, as they were called, and you could either call in a defensive one, which would be like giving your team more ammo or giving them flak jackets, something like that. And if you did that, those points would go towards your next score chain. Or conversely, you could try to call in an airstrike of some kind, a mortar strike.
UAV.
They were all offensive type stuff. And then if you didn't kill anybody with them, well, you didn't get any points for it. So there was incentive to go with the team kill streaks. So yeah, I thought it was like the best that I've ever been with.
Well, I mean,
Um,
I was envious of it back in the Call of Duty days, like playing Black Ops and stuff like that. I was hoping Black Ops was going to copy. 'Cause Black Ops came out after Medal of Honor, right?
yeah, only like a month
yeah.
after I think, but
But
yeah,
enough time to hope they did something.
yeah, because in MW3 they sort of emulated that with the defensive kill streaks or the support kill
Support.
streaks, but
Yeah.
they kind of only went halfway with it. And yeah, Medal of Honor, I mean, it's 2 years old now, but the score chains were more advanced than the games that are out today, and more
Yeah.
useful for teams and
I'd like
and
to.
that. So
I'd like to see that in the new Medal of Honor. But let's get on to our next topic, the hot button issue of the month, I guess we could say, is Armored Kill. Have you guys been following the footage at all? Have you?
Hell yeah.
yeah, a little bit,
A little bit, yeah.
So
lots of vehicles.
let's get into the meat and potatoes of the conversation. And Armored Kill on console, is it going to suck?
I don't think it's going to suck, but it's going to be extremely diluted. There's
Yeah.
like way too many vehicles that are being going on for only 12v12. So, without a shadow of a doubt, if you're not playing on PC, it's not going to be anywhere near as good. I don't think it's going to suck, but I really think Armored Kill will really show you the night and day difference between what PC is capable of showing and doing with 32 versus 32 and the limits of console gameplay.
See, go ahead.
Well, I think the close quarter thing was really, it was kind of, it wasn't built for console, but it really shines on console because it's close quarters and you get a lot of more high intense action. You have the capacity for it.
And they
With
said after
vehicles?
Close Quarters came out that they're not that they don't, none of the DICE servers will support anything more than 16 players total on PC, but private servers could obviously boost it up to 32 versus 32 if they wanted to, but they couldn't expect
and-
game-breaking issues to be addressed in a 32v32 on the Ziba Tower or something like that. So you think Close Quarters was a pacifier for console players?
Well, I think they're kind of diametrically opposite, in terms of what they bring. And for consoles, they don't. The bigger the map, it's not better for the console because we can't support enough players on it. But the close quarters thing, you can make it really hectic, and that's what console can kind of shine with because you have fewer players and you get smaller spaces and get more action. But I mean, if I had to jump in a tank and travel across a 12v12 map where there's nothing but tanks or something, I mean, that's gonna, especially if I start getting killed right before as I come out of a spawn or something.
Well, that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about, like, we've all committed suicide when you fall in the water on Wake Island, like right off the aircraft carrier. You're like, fuck this. Like, well, I'm dead.
Later.
I'm worried that that's what's going to happen. Like, you might be on a chopper or you might be cruising on a Jeep or something like that, and somebody, like a chopper, might pick you off when you're between objectives, and it might take so much fun out of the game because you basically, like, you have to suicide or you just die and then you start back at your spawn. Like, if you're spawn trapped, it could really, really blow because
And
there's such a long way to get to the first flag.
And what if you get a team of really good pilots, like people that are really good with like the Frogfoot, people that are really good with the chopper, where tanks and jeeps and that don't survive? Since the flares and everything, work for the.
Well,
for
in that
everything.
case,
I mean,
there's a chance that you might actually win the game because I think I've mentioned this a couple times now. Right now on Firestorm, which is one of the biggest maps, you have 12v12. You've got 2 people in the chopper, 2 people in jets, at least 3 people in tanks. If you have a driver in each of the tanks,
yeah.
and then so that's 7 people out of 12 that are tied up in vehicles, and that's not talking about co-pilots, and it's not talking about
Transport chopper.
yeah, transport chopper or people in jeeps. So you're down to a handful of people that could be possibly covering objective points. And most of the time, when one team on Firestorm has all their vehicles rolling around, or like people insist on getting back in the tank or something like that, or back in the chopper, the other team ends up winning if they have people on the ground actually capturing flags.
And it generally, unfortunately, makes for kind of a bad game to play sometimes because there's not a ton of action going on.
Right.
If you're one of
And
the
then-
few people on the ground, you're just running in circles around the other people capturing flags.
Yeah, you win the
And-
game 14 minutes later with a score of 7-2 or something like that. If and you're in first place. So
Yeah, pretty much. Which I never minded. I mean, it was, you know,
yeah,
the game.
Yeah, and that's not
I don't
including
know how it does for
snipers.
everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, snipers.
If someone decides to snipe, then that's
Well, it
one less
reminds me of
person.
that one map on Bad Company 2. You know, Reg, you probably remember that big ass map on Bad Company 2 where it was like a mile. It felt forever to go from one objective to the other, and you couldn't run it on foot. If you ran it
Are you
on
talking
foot,
about like Oasis or something where it was like rolling hills of grass?
it was rolling
my God.
hills.
I know
Yeah,
that one.
it was
It-
huge.
It was a big friggin' map.
And
Yeah.
because those Apaches were overpowered and there weren't any air to ground missiles, those guys would just fly circles around everybody and just destroy everything. It was retarded.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it. That map. Every time it came up, I was just like, no, I don't want to play this one.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays out, but I think it has the capacity to kind of be underwhelming
on
compared
console.
to yeah, on console. I think maybe not, but we'll have to see how it plays out really.
It's probably going to be amazing on PC.
Probably would be.
I'm not going to lie. What?
Well, what were you gonna say? Go ahead,
I
finish
was
that
going
thought.
to say,
before
I'm
you-
not going to lie. I got kind of a huge boner when I was imagining like manning the AC-130. Like the trailer that they showed where it was like the AC-130 is running on its trail, but then the two jets are like attacking it. Like that would be so awesome. Like you know an enemy AC-130 is coming in, so you and a buddy are like going in like Red Fox style, like we got to take a shot at this thing. But then
Top
it's got
Gun.
giant cannons. Yeah, it's got giant cannons on the side, like taking it out. It has such
I want
good
to have
potential.
a repair tool.
Yeah,
I want to be running around in the AC-130 repairing things.
yeah.
That'd be awesome. Just running up and down like the whole fuselage, just like,
Yeah.
your fucking repair tool.
I just want to run around. I don't want them to put a point cap on it.
No, I gotta say, like, just the idea of playing Armored Kill on PC has got me really, really wanting to play on PC, and I'm waiting from Luton, the guy that we actually had as a guest on here at one point, I think. Or
He
did
was
that fall
supposed to
through?
be on here.
Supposed
Yeah.
to, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, he's doing a review on this controller. It's part mouse, and backtrack. PC gaming is mouse keyboard. So this new controller setup, which you can also use on PS3 or Xbox, is a mouse and basically like a nunchuck, similar to what you would find on the Wii. And it's got a D-pad and a joystick, and then, you know, picture how you're holding it. You've got your pinky and your ring finger. They're kind of underneath it, and your thumb comes around the top, and then your pointer finger and middle finger are doing nothing. Like on that front face, there's 3 buttons right there, and I think that's it. But I remember telling Chris about this. The only thing that really holds me up from being able to play on PC is I struggle with the keyboard. And I was like, if I could just have like some sort of nunchuck that sorry, excuse me, I keep burping like crazy. If I could have like a nunchuck, that would be the best of both worlds because I would get that accuracy with the controller, but I would get the console controller like type feel with the nunchuck. So I don't know, man. Like all that said, now that I found that, I think I'm gonna make the jump over to PC, especially with Armored Kill coming up, because
Good God.
I
really?
know I really want to be able to take advantage of these huge maps and all these vehicles. Just like the idea of being able to play 32v32, just specifically for Armored Kill, is kind of hard to pass up.
I have a hard time with the mouse and keyboard too. Like I was playing Arma 2 because I downloaded it just to kind of see what it was like, and even Fallout 3, like I have a hard time being accurate and like decisive with my movements. Like I wish I could just kind of hook my PS3 controller up or something.
I feel like I get the hand equivalent of tunnel vision when I'm using a mouse and keyboard. Like, I'm holding the W key to go forward, and when something starts and something happens that would cause me to need to release the W key to stop running at an enemy, I fail to realize that my hand is still holding down the W key. Like, it's not natural yet to like to know all, and then knowing where all the keys are. Like, if I take my hand off for 1 second, I have to look at the keyboard to make sure I'm lining it back up where it's supposed to be, or else I'll end
Basically,
up like
you're a zombie.
yeah,
Just running straight forward all the time.
yeah. Like, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, I have
Better
the
not be
same
in my
problem.
way.
Like, I don't let go of the W, and even though I know how to type, and I don't have to look at a keyboard to type or anything. As soon as I'm playing a game, I have no clue where any of the keys are anymore.
Yep.
Like, I'm
my
like, wait,
God.
where's that X? I mean, you know.
Well,
So
especially with Battlefield, like, because I play StarCraft, and I normally set my fingers for StarCraft on the home row on ASDF, and so that's natural because I know where all the buttons are from there. But with Battlefield, it uses the WASD, which if you look, it notches your fingers over by one key. So that just totally fucks with me. Like, I don't know where the natural progression of what each finger can hit and everything. I end up hitting like 4 buttons at once most of the time.
grenade.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. But
Real quick, guys, I did post the link. It's splitfish.com, because there are some people in the comments asking for me to post the link. Splitfish.com, that has the Frag FX Shark controller. That's exactly what I was talking about.
so would you
Continue.
have a problem with someone using that on console against you?
Would I have a problem with that?
Yeah.
No, not at all. Who cares? I gotta say, Luton
I
has
bet I
been
could
using
find.
it. And what?
I bet I could find people that care.
Oh yeah, there's
every-
a lot of people that care.
I would say there's always going to be people that care about it. Who
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. Like it's like petty bickering that I don't have time for.
Yeah.
No, who cares? I mean, if you're willing to take that, if you're willing to make that jump, then yeah, sure. Who the hell cares? Anyone can do it, so it's not like you're getting an unfair advantage over someone else. It's not like only specific people can do it. So
It's not
Yeah.
aimbot,
exactly. So what does it matter?
which I would love to have, by the way.
God.
Have you heard about the aimbots they have on PC? They're like
No.
super sophisticated, and they're like minor league hacks. Like, they're super like complex hacks, but it's not like auto aim, insta death, kill people. It like changes your whole HUD, and it'll give you like red boxes outlining enemies through walls, and it'll tell you how far away they are. But the red boxes will change to like orange or yellow if they're not facing you, and then if somebody's looking at you, it'll change to like orange. If someone's aiming at you, it'll change to red, so you can instantly like know when you're threatened. And apparently it's supposed to be like all these super subtle things that can make you look like a beast of a player, but not really detectable by traditional means.
Wow.
And that's what I just blame every death on when I'm playing on PC, because
Lag and aimbot.
Hacksaws.
you
Obviously.
guys using a lag switch. This is bullshit.
All right, is there anything else we want to cover before we move on to another topic that I saw in the comments that I definitely feel needs to be addressed?
Hang on. Let's just run through Armored Kill a little bit. I think we said what needs to be said. It's going to be fun when it comes out, but the maps are going to be retarded huge. Like, I don't know if you looked at those trailers, but there's one shot that shows, it's like, I think the snow map. It shows a mountain, and you can tell that the objective is on the other side of the mountain. Like, you can see on the HUD, it's like location E or something like that. And you're like
Christ.
insanely far away. It looks like almost like it's the size of a Rush map, only it's Conquest.
You have to
Like
take
a
a
non-divided
ski lift.
Yeah, that's literally what it looks like. So
That'd be awesome.
I think it's going to be interesting. I actually wouldn't be surprised to see if they come up with a different game mode again that's sort of like a combination between Rush and Conquest, where the fight moves almost like War from World at War, where the fight moves from one sector to another depending on how like the momentum's going. Like if you hold two objectives in the sector, you can now capture a third in the enemy sector or something like that. Because it doesn't make sense, even on PC, like these distances are insane. So unless they don't want people running to it and they want you spawning on an objective and then fighting at that objective and it like creating the illusion that you're on this huge map, I think they're going to have to come up with a way for these maps to actually play better than what they appear. But
I can already
that's all.
hear that this map is too big.
Yeah.
I can't find anybody. I'm going back to Call of Duty. I can already hear it.
All right.
What's the next topic?
Next topic, and this one, Chris and I are definitely going to be really interested in to see how this plays out. Battle Recorder on BF4. I saw White Pawn mention it. He said that apparently DICE has shot down that idea. I don't know. Last I saw, and forgive me, I do not remember where I read this, and I should have written it down, but it was like a week ago. I apologize. I'm a terrible person. Everyone, you can just be mad at me later. They said that they were really big on feedback and stuff, and they were like, what do we want to see in the next Battlefield 4? Where we take all this into consideration before we're making the next game. And they specifically mentioned the Battle Recorder. What are your thoughts on it? Because me personally, I really, really think that for the next step for them to really kind of grow the Battlefield community is to bring in a Battle Recorder, because that brings in so much more people that, they can be more creative with the game. It's like, and that's kind of one of the things that Halo always had, right? Was they had that theater mode type thing, so people made all these kind of crazy videos, and they had a huge following and huge community because so many people were able to get creative with it. And then Modern Warfare followed suit with it, or actually Black Ops did, and then Modern Warfare 3. I really think it's something that Battlefield is missing that could really, really be huge towards growing their community, like showing that we're not just trying to make a good game and focus on the gameplay. Like, that's obviously our main focus, but we're showing you that we're trying to branch out and really encompass everyone's interests. And I really know it would go a long way towards us with our weapon reviews. Like, we'd be able to do a lot more cool things with it and make it more interesting.
I agree with what you're saying with building the community and everything, because Valve just released the creators of Team Fortress 2. They just created I forget the name of it, but basically like a workbench that gives you tools to create videos using all the characters, not only to just like do what you're talking about where you get a bunch of buddies to run into a map and do like scripted events. They released this whole workshop where you can basically animate the characters in Team Fortress 2 to do whatever you want. Like it's like a friggin' Pixar movie. And I'm pretty sure it's free, and the only thing you have to do is really invest the time to figure out how to use it, and the only gain Valve is getting from it is fantastic videos made by the community.
Did you say animated creatures that you could make do whatever you wanted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
No.
Now let me preface that with it is Team Fortress 2 characters, so do what you will.
I don't care if they have Battle Record. I think that'd be cool as long as it doesn't detract from something else really important. Like with Black Ops. Black Ops, it was always like rumored that it was theater mode that was causing like the frame rate lag on the PS3 and stuff. And I've played it on Xbox. I've never had frame rate lag, but on the PS3, always did. So as long as it doesn't cause something like that or anything like that, then I think it's a great idea because Call of Duty's had it. Hey, like, why not?
I went through a process with the theater mode in Black Ops. It was like, at first, it was the greatest thing ever because I never had to record a game again. Like, I never had to go through the process of hitting stop and then renaming the file and then recording again and worrying about like lists and lists and lists of basically unorganized games that I had to go through later. And then I had the obligatory like theater recording fail that screwed me out of my whatever like greatest game ever or something like that. So then I went back to always using it, and then I actually ended up seeing towards the end of Black Ops, I saw this big push in the YouTube community, like the very beginnings of a YouTube community where people were using theater mode as a way, as like almost a form of currency for people who had PVRs. They would be like, oh, I'll record your gameplay for you and then upload it to YouTube, then you can download it. Like, that would be a common thing on forums. People would be like, oh, I just had this awesome 87-3 on Nuketown. Can somebody go into my player profile and record it and upload it for me so I can make a montage out of it? And it was like, wow, okay. I don't have a problem with anybody who wants to get into making videos and everything, but I don't know. I mean, I guess you can do whatever you want with it on your free time. I would love to see the battle recorder for what you were saying, Sean, about like having people do like cool things with it, but then at the same time to turn around. I mean, I guess I have no reason to really bitch about people doing whatever the hell they want to do with it. But as far as recording games and stuff like that, I prefer to record it live as I'm doing it, just through personal experience and everything. But a battle recorder for avoiding hacks and finding cheaters and stuff like that is actually a really good idea. And montages, oh my god, montages can be so much better if they have good camera use and stuff like that.
Well, not even montages. This is like also just funny videos like Doom 49 or Dev Sane. He makes awesome videos with his shenanigans, but those could definitely benefit from a battle recorder or theater mode, whatever you want to call it. It gives you more purchase to be a little more unique with what you're doing.
Well, the big thing with any production that people are doing right now, because they figured out how to do it, they take the HUD off and they know how to hide their weapon, but they're still just so limited by where they can find their player to stand.
Right, their angles and whatnot.
To act as a camera. So you can't get those awesome shots of, I don't know, like from the sky, unless you are some sort of amazing person that can do it while you're parachuting or something like that. So
I tell you, one thing they have to do for Battlefield 4, especially if they have like a Battlefield recorder or something, they've got to work with the menu system. Because maybe it works really well on PC, I don't know, but the menu is just not fluid on the console. Like going through it's a pain. It's like the cross media bar on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
It's as if the cross media bar and some game had a baby and made this menu system. It's terrible.
And it got adopted by Battlefield.
Yeah, they want to screw you over. If you don't freeze from opening the cross media bar, don't worry, Battlefield will do it for you because it has to save and load and everything. Make it
are you talking about
a normal menu.
Are you talking about like the menus to in-game, how like in one sub-menu, like hitting circle will spawn you, and then in another sub-menu, hitting circle will take you back?
All of it.
Or like,
yeah, because even Medal of Honor. Medal of Honor was the same thing. Like, you hit back, and it like makes your screen go fuzzy, and now you're at your new screen. It gives me a headache. Like, all the things they do, just make a normal menu. Like, I don't want to say copy Call of Duty, but copy Call of Duty. Just make a menu where I have to click a button, and I
remember
I don't
on
get a seizure. You know?
No need to
release
innovate,
night
not at all.
of Modern. What's that, Tony?
There's like no need to innovate at all.
Oh. No, there isn't. I remember on release night of Modern Warfare 2, me and Snoop got home about 20 past midnight, and
I don't even think it was that late.
I was amazed at how quickly from going like. One thing Modern Warfare 2 did right is you put the disc in, and if you start a stopwatch from entering disc, you can be in a game within like 15 seconds or something like that. It's just like boom, multiplayer, boom, find game. And it
you can
loads
like
up.
skip through all the stuff. And
And not Battlefield, man. Like,
no,
it's like a
drives me
nightly ritual whenever me and Snoop are playing. He goes, dude, I sent you an invite like an hour ago, and I'm like, I'm fucking loading the game. I'm in a menu. I'm learning about Frostbite. Yeah, I'm learning about Frostbite 2.0. So leave me alone.
That's the thing. Like, I couldn't imagine them making like a Battlefield recorder or whatever, and then having their sort of menu system involved with it. I can only imagine what that would be like. R2 plus X to go forward, and then rewind is select and L1. Like I can just see it being some god awful thing, you know, like just make it normal. Really,
because like the dolly cam,
eyes.
the dolly cam in Black Ops was a bit of a nightmare. Like if you you could find yourself in like a precarious situation if you don't know exactly what you want to do. Like going back is tough. Like you end up. I remember I had to wipe a couple projects completely out because I somehow worked myself into like some weird corner, and it started like the camera would like come in, and then when it was supposed to go to another camera, it's like it like freaks out, and then it like zooms to like the next waypoint or wherever it's supposed to go. And there's no easy way to turn around and fix that with the simple controls that they give you.
Yeah, and whatever Battlefield's menu thing is all about, that game made me freeze. That game froze my PlayStation more than my old PlayStation got froze by Fallout.
Okay, never mind. Damn it. I was going to say, here's the question. Did it freeze out more with Fallout New Vegas or...
I guess that's kind of a lie.
Battlefield
It's probably a couple of dozen times with Battlefield. It was like 100 times with Fallout, but... Damn, I wasn't doing anything. It's not like I had 100 enemies on the screen or anything. I was just hitting start to get through the menu.
See, I will still admit that Fallout New Vegas game freezes were more painful than any Battlefield game freezes I've had. Because I'm like, it's like entering Capital Wasteland. And then it's just like, you see the thing like spinning, not doing anything, and you're like, oh my god, when was the last time I saved? Like, I have no
you
idea.
have these rituals. You have rituals like, okay, hit O twice, cross media bar, and then quickly exit. Okay, it worked.
You're like, oh my god.
Yeah, I'm so sick of those things. Like, just make a nice, simple menu. No flashing lights, nothing. Just click and go.
It is kind of weird that these like games late in the life of consoles are so buggy to the PS3s. You'd think developers would have the systems on lockdown and know like what they can and can't do.
Yeah, like 6 years later, you would think so.
Yeah, but I think they're probably making games that surpass what the PlayStation can do now. That's probably why you get so many freezes and shit. It's
Just
running
as
at
soon as
maximum
they figure
capacity.
it out. As soon as they figure out how to code it, now it's too powerful.
Well, I mean, yeah, you think about it. Like, take Battlefield, for example. You know, we've all had our issues with it freezing. Maybe what we need is a new console.
So you want to talk about new consoles?
I guess it might be a good segue into the PS4.
All right, here's a question. The new consoles, do they need to be digital download only? Or should they be digital download only?
No.
I hope not, because games are really... I mean, what's Call of Duty? What is it, like a 7 to 8 gigabyte game? I mean, and that... Imagine having to download, like, Fallout or something. It'd take you 10 hours.
Right.
And not everybody has...
You know what? Here, I've thought about this a lot. And when I bought my iMac, it didn't come with an installation disk. So you had to get onto the cloud network if you want to reboot your OS. And I didn't like that. I actually like having a disk, a hard copy I could go to. Now, the only way I see that if you went to a digital download that I think it would be viable and worthwhile is if they give you access to manipulate the games like you do with like custom maps or custom skins. If they gave you some sort of way to play outside of the like normal parameters. I'm not talking about hacking at all. I'm talking specifically about be able to like make custom maps. You know, the things that PC
like
can enjoy.
Like a mod.
Or like, yeah,
or
exactly,
like
mods. Yeah, there you go. Mods is the word I was looking for. So if that would be cool if they gave you access to that. Otherwise, I don't know. I'd prefer a hard copy because I don't want to waste my hard drive space because you're gonna have to eventually buy terabytes worth of information and keep it on your PlayStation. And then what happens to the used game industry like GameStop? Oh, they're going to go out of business.
Fuck GameStop anyways.
Yeah, they want
Nazis.
Seriously, they want rid of GameStop. That's why, or they want GameStop to only be able to make money by selling new games. Well, and that's what that's all about.
But I like the idea of buying used games because if there's a game that I want to play, like take Batman for example. Like I haven't picked up Arkham City yet, and I know Veggie's probably going to tell me that I need to play it.
You've seen the movie, but you haven't played
I know, I've seen the movie. But here's the thing. It's like, I really want to play the game now, but I just didn't want to buy it new. So now I can go buy it used. So I would be stuck in the digital downloaded world, I'd be stuck paying full price for a game because it's data. It's going to be a set price unless they have like a Steam sale. So I like the idea of used copies. I think it's good.
What I don't understand is why don't the game companies just come to an agreement with GameStop and say, hey, we're going to make you pay this fee, however much money it is, and this is going to allow you to sell used games of ours. Otherwise, we're just going to go to digital copies and we're going to screw you over anyway.
I think.
I don't know.
You can't do that. That would.
I think they're like, we do not negotiate with terrorists. I think that's their. That's their motto with that. They're not interested
in. Who doesn't hate GameStop? I must be the only one who doesn't hate it.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly despise the used game industry.
Yeah. Really?
I get a kick out of saving my games and stuff. Like, I never trade them in. I always find it useful to hang on to that copy of FIFA Street 2001 just in case it's going to be fun. Dude, I just went back and played MLB Slugfest 2004 like 2 weeks ago with my buddy. I played on the GameCube. Yeah, and I was like, man, I'm so glad I had this.
Different. Because that's an older console, too, so there's that nostalgia factor that you can't argue with. You're talking about the same games for the same console. It's a different story.
See, but look at what we do. Look at what we do. There's an expectation for us to always be on the frontier of whatever brand new game is out. There's a lot of times, in the amount of games that I've bought in the last 2 years is ridiculous. It's staggering the amount of money I've spent, and it would be that much more if I didn't have games to trade in. So for me, for somebody who is in the YouTube thing and is trying to stay at the frontier of these new games that come out, it's worthwhile, because if I've got a game that I've already beat and I'm not going to play it again, like Uncharted, I love the game, I love the story, but I played it once and I have a really hard time playing it again, so I'm just going to trade it in. I'm going to get my $10-15 or whatever, and then whatever they give you with the power-ups card, and then apply that to a brand new game, and then suddenly instead of a $60 game, I got a $45 game that I'm paying for.
All right, so let me pose a question to you. Let's say you go and you pick up Batman Arkham City.
Yes.
Used. You get it for $40 or whatever it's selling, $30 or something like that. You take it home and you enjoy the hell out of it because it's a great game.
Uh-huh.
At any point, would you feel guilty that a company worked and developed a game and did a fantastic job and thoroughly entertained you with one of the characters you've loved since your childhood, and you thank them by not giving them a dime? Because GameStop took 100% of the money that you paid.
Yeah, but you see, you're missing it, though, because they got paid for that game already, because wherever it was purchased from bought the game. When I buy a game from GameStop, Walmart, Best Buy, whoever developed the game or published the game is not getting the money. That money is going to Best Buy, GameStop, Walmart. They're already paid. So the money that I spend on a game is not
physical copy.
It's
but
not
if that copy
back down to the developer.
If there wasn't a market for that copy to re-exist, you would probably end up buying it. If the used game market didn't exist, I guarantee you new games would start to decrease in price faster, and you could buy new copies for less than what they were on release date.
But again, the money that I spend on it does not go to the developers of Batman Arkham City. They'll go to whatever retail outlet that I bought it from. That's the way it works.
Right, that's true to a point. Well, it's one of those, like, okay, let's put it this perspective then. You're right. What we spend, the $60 I spend on a game, none of that goes. It's just like when you buy a car from a dealer. None of that, like, say I go out and buy an F-150 and I bought Battlefield 3. None of that money actually went to the developer or the actual auto manufacturer. It goes to the dealers, the middleman, where the initial people make their money is from those middlemen. But now you have to look at this. So GameStop only buys 100 copies, and you go in and there are no new copies left. If you want to buy a new copy, they have to buy it straight from DICE first, which they get their money from. But instead, you buy that used copy. Well, now there's no incentive. What's the reason for them to go out and buy more? So you are directly affecting the money being made by DICE, because instead of opting, I want the new game because I want to support the developers, which would force them to make a new purchase order straight from DICE. You just buy a used game off their shelf, and now there's no need for them to buy any more games, and automatically DICE loses money right there.
It's a trickle effect. It's not necessarily
Well,
trickle
yeah.
down, but it trickles back and forth. It's like a give take.
Yeah, but
kind
I
of
mean,
thing.
you're at your the way. I mean, I get the way you're posing it, and but the way you're presenting it is as if my whatever the profit would be for them to whatever they sell the game to, say GameStop, $20, $30 a unit, probably less than maybe $10 a unit, $15 a unit. I'm not exactly sure what it is. That's still
Right.
$10. It's not a lot of money. And if I'm the kind of guy, look, and I'm this way, and a lot of my buddies know this. I'm the kind of guy, I would rather buy a new game than a used game, just because I'm old school. There's a negative connotation with quote used games. So when I talk about the used game industry, I'm talking about like not months, like 6 months to a year after the fact, when it's hard
Right.
to. I wouldn't say it's hard, but
So you're not
for
talking
likelihood-
about the
I'm
$55
not going into
turnaround.
Best Buy. I'm not going to go into Best Buy I didn't go to GameStop when I bought the Spider-Man game. I didn't go there looking for a used copy. I went there to find a new copy. Because for me, there's something about owning a new copy. Because traditionally, you get something with it. Either it's some sort of a special unlock, or sometimes for, say, Battlefield, you got the online pass. There's something that goes with it. So there is a benefit to buying the game new. I'm saying that. I'm just saying, for what we like to do, it's beneficial to be able to trade a game in and be able to put that money onto another game.
Right.
The
A
only
new
thing-
game, a brand new game. I'm not saying trading in used games to buy another used game.
The only thing I don't like about it is that, for me, the downloadable content and the online passes and all that were always incentive to buy the new game. And, okay, so I do buy new games if I want downloadable content for free or I want the online pass for free. But if they go to digital copies and try to cut out the middleman, the used game industry, now there's not going to be any incentive for that downloadable content online pass, to buy a new game. But they're still going to have downloadable content that's paid and online passes or whatever that are paid. They're still going to nickel and dime you in that way, which in the future it will used to be an incentive. Then it will just be a fee that you're paying. I don't like that, but I can't help but think that this is going kind of like down the road for music. I mean, music, you used to be able to share music with people over a computer. That's when it became a real problem. And cut out the music industry. You didn't end up paying it for it at all. And the game industry is looking at this the same way. They're saying that we're not making any money off of people buying used games. And they're not saying that you necessarily would buy the game new, but they're saying if you want to play this game, you're going to buy it new and we're going to get our money or you're not going to play it at all. And if they go digital, well, that's the only way you're going to get it.
So what do you think about, I was just talking to Tony about this the other night. I read an article where someone was saying that the next generation consoles need to be digital only in order for them to survive. He had some crazy logic for that, but the thing...
Thank you. Oh, him. Oh, I was talking about me. I was like, damn, man.
No. But one of the things he was saying that will accompany, if games go digital only, what will follow is similar to what Blizzard does right now with their games. Like, what you bought when you bought Diablo was you didn't buy the game, you bought access to the game. And essentially you were paying for a service from Blizzard for them to open the gateway to let you play their game.
Yep.
Which turns around and essentially removes ownership of the game from you. And it's
Right.
almost like you're perma-renting it until they decide you've done something to the point where you can't, you're not allowed to use it anymore.
Or
I
they
think,
decide to shut down a server.
right, yeah, and that happened. I'm trying to think of what they closed down recently that people can no longer play. Halo 2 keeps popping into my head. I think Halo
was it one of
3.
the Halos?
I think maybe Halo 3 might be shut. No, Halo 3 is still up because that's 360. But I know Halo 2 shut down a few months ago. And it kind of sucks to think that now in this day and age, with server space costing money and everything, the cost to support these games is going to, it means there's a literal end to the life cycle of these games because they're not going to be able to be supported anymore. Now, that alone makes me nervous about the idea of digital only. Like, take Diablo, for instance, because on launch night, everybody had pre-ordered it. Millions of people tried to play Diablo on launch night, and they couldn't get in for some of them up to like 24 hours or something like that because the servers were down. So
Bad Company 2 did the same thing when it came out.
Yeah.
And it was a hard copy.
Right. So I guess it can happen either way.
I don't like it. I mean, I understand why they're doing it because they're looking at the water leaking out of the bucket, so to speak, is where they're losing money at, or where they have the potential to lose money. And they're trying to see how they can cut out the middleman. We talk about GameStop, but look at GameFly. For $20 a month, basically, you can rent 2 games at a time, and you can switch them out as often as you want. I had Gears of War 3 for like a couple of months, and Uncharted, and I switched it out for this game, that game. And over the span of 3 months, I probably spent somewhere between $60 and $90 paying for the service. But none of the money went to, the game developers. I'm sure those copies I was playing were paid for at one point, but I probably played 10 games, and I only paid for one when it comes to like $60.
Right.
And they're going to cut them out too.
Are you pushed into like online passes and stuff? They don't give you temp codes or anything, right?
No.
No. If you got Battlefield 3, you'd have to fork over $10 to play online or something like that, right?
You'd still have to do something. And that's what I thought was a great idea, because that is incentive to buy a new game. Or if you wanted to play Uncharted but you weren't interested in the multiplayer, well, then you're probably going to rent it or buy it used or whatever. So I think incentive is a really good thing. Once you go digital, I mean, you're talking about cutting people out, and now people aren't going to have jobs. Things are going to shut down because GameFly would disappear, except for you're doing old games.
But then you're
and
not.
I don't think you're doing mail order old games.
Yeah, GameStop could still sell new games, but they wouldn't make as much money because they probably make very little money off of new games, GameStop. But when they sell a used game, well, that's all profit after what they pay you. So if they pay you $15 for Skyrim and then resell it for $40, that's $25 profit. I doubt they make $25 profit off of a new game.
Right. I think it's safe to say that the only reason GameStop is in business is because of their used game market.
I would say so. And I like GameStop for the convenience. I mean, you don't get great deals if you trade games in. You'd be better off like selling them on eBay or something, probably.
Craigslist or something?
Yeah, but I like it for the convenience, so I don't have to go find a box and ship it to people, and whatever. So I don't know. I understand why the industry wants to go that way, but I really wish they wouldn't. Mm-hmm. And everything I've read indicates that you'll have to be signed in online just to even play the games.
Right. Yeah, that...
Oh, you see, you're like the Xbox Live sort of a deal?
Yeah, where if you don't sign in online, you can't play the game. So if your internet connection goes down, you can't even play single player.
And that's how it is with Diablo 3 right now. And if you're on a plane with your laptop and you don't have Wi-Fi, you can't play. Like, even if you want to log in and play by yourself on...
Yeah, that's...
Like,
I don't
local
like that.
only. They want to know what you're doing. And they're hiding behind the fact that they're saying it's helping avoid... in Diablo, like gold farmers and people that are somehow hacking the system, so then when you sign on, you have like all these different things, like all these
like
different
in Resident
items.
Evil 5, you can farm golden eggs so that you can get all these great weapons and everything.
Did you hear that, Sean?
Wait.
We can farm golden eggs in Resident Evil 5 offline, and episode 3 is going to be like we're going to have like dual wield like shotguns. Like, I found these guys.
And that's what happened. People would go online and try to find people who had like all these gold eggs stashed up, and then so it kind of broke the game, but it's not like it was competitive or anything. That was with co-op. But
right.
I mean, like I said, that's the only thing I don't like about this whole digital thing. Like, it makes you dependent on a good internet connection, because if you have what every Joe Blow has, like 1.5 down and 0.5 up, you're going to be spending a whole day downloading a game.
Yeah,
And
especially when
games are
servers get
bound to be
busy.
getting bigger,
Yeah.
right? I mean, aren't
Well, shit. Seriously, when I downloaded that game DC Universe Online, it took me three hours. 3
Tony,
hours.
how long did we sit there waiting for the Battlefield patch to download? That
30
during that stream,
minutes?
it was like
Well, yeah,
38
'cause-
minutes
And
or
that
something
was
like that.
that was a gig, right? That was like
yeah,
gig for you?
because
Yeah.
Black Ops is like a 7.2 gigabyte file, I think, or an 8 gigabyte file, something like that. And that's huge. And when the next generation of consoles come out, the file sizes aren't going to get smaller,
Right.
right? I mean,
They're gonna get
conceivably they might get bigger. So
They
I mean,
should.
exponentially bigger.
and you know they're going to stick it to us with the hard drive space. They're going to give you like a 50
100 gigs?
gigabyte, yeah,
Yeah.
and you're going to be able to download 3 games and then have to juggle which one you want to keep on there. And
Well, Microsoft has already done that. They're like, hey, buy a 4 gig Xbox 360 for $200. By the way, you can't play half the games we've already released with only 4 gigabytes of memory. So come buy this $130 hard drive to get you to where you would have been if you just spent $300 to begin
yeah,
with.
what's the new PS3 they just came out with? Which I don't know why they came out with it, but what is it, like 320 gigabytes?
Yep.
I think something like that. I mean, that's a pretty good size hard drive, but
You could do like some of my friends. They just put in new hard drives into their PS3s.
That's
but
what
if you
I
had
heard.
if you had to only download games, well,
Right.
suddenly 320 gigabytes isn't very much because that's 30 games figure. Call it 40 games. And
man.
I mean, in the time I've had a PlayStation 3, I've had 40 games.
Well, and I'm assuming it would be like a cloud service where you could delete and re-download games, but we're talking convenience at that point where
Yeah.
Well, because
You're
your
gonna have to-
purchases they'd have to be stored on like the PS Store or the Xbox Marketplace.
yeah.
So then you could
Those are big
re-download them.
downloads.
But
Well,
they're
and that's what they
still
want, though.
huge.
Like if you have a whole
I don't
account
like it.
tied
I
to
get it.
Sony, huh?
I just thought, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say if you have a whole account tied to Microsoft or Sony, you're gonna be that more likely to stick with that one account and keep growing it
Yep.
as opposed to
Yeah,
switching.
that's another potential thing. Why would you switch if you already had a paid service to Xbox Live on the Xbox 720 or something, and you already had all these games stored on there and all your information? I mean, you'd never switch to a PS4 or vice versa. I mean,
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't see why that would hinder somebody if they're unhappy with the service. They'll probably move. But usually, whatever console you're brought up with is the one you're gonna play. Like I was, PS1. That was the first console I ever had. But that was I didn't have an Xbox. I had a PlayStation. So I've been a loyal Sony, user since then.
fanboy.
And I mean, I have the Xbox 360, but it just sits there, it collects dust, and then every third blue moon, I turn it on.
Yeah, me too.
yeah. So
All right.
I'm against the digital.
But I do
uprising.
want to go back. I want to go back and talk about what Chris says about how games are going to have a definite end to them. Their life is going to end. I think, and I was going to probably do a commentary about this with paid servers. Why would they shut servers down if people are paying for them still?
I think at the once you get to a certain point, if you follow the food chain, at some point you're going to come into human employees that are being paid to maintain something
Yeah.
that game depends on. Or
But I mean,
it'll come
you
down to
think maybe
space
there's
or
like
something.
maybe there is like a drop dead, like if there are X amount of servers, less than this many servers being purchased, then we'll shut down the servers. But it might increase the life cycle of these games now that people have the financial power to keep the game alive. You're not dependent
Right.
on, DICE paying out money for the servers or different with Call of Duty because it's a PvP sort of a deal. But I think you'll see a game like Battlefield last longer than 5 years, maybe. Maybe 5 years is pushing it, considering new consoles and new games and stuff. But it might last a long. It might last a long time, but because people are paying for it.
Maybe there'd have to be enough people paying for it, though. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, and I don't know if the ratios would work out at that. Yeah, I'm sure there is magic numbers for everything. That's how people run businesses. There's a profit.
But my point is that if it was not paid servers, if these were DICE provided servers, then the game would probably end a lot sooner than these rented servers, because I think the rented servers are going to allow the game to live a little longer. Maybe as much as a year, 6 months to a year longer than what they would have if they're paid for by DICE or EA.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
what do you got? What?
Here's like, long pause.
Well, I was trying to decide if you guys. I was going to ask if you guys want to keep this at a nice clean hour, or if you have other topics you'd like to delve into.
No, I say we keep it to a nice long hour. We covered a lot, specifically Battlefield related. So, my vote, I say we cut it. An hour's a pretty good episode.
Okay.
Yeah, I say we cut it.
That sounds.
I feel
good to
my
me.
energy waning, and soon
Yeah.
I'll be like nodding off at the screen or something. Like if we get into something I'm not interested in.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed hearing our opinions on everything. I'm hoping to do this on a regular basis, so if you have topics that you'd like us to discuss in the future, where maybe we will be a little bit more loose about the options we have and everything, leave a comment down
Dating
below.
advice for teenagers.
Yeah, and especially like any of the cliche comments or topics, if you'd like to ask for some serious life advice from us, we're all certified,
Certified
talkers. We're certified experienced speakers, so we can.
We all get the
tell
cheap
you.
rates for car insurance. That's all I
Yeah.
need to know.
All right, guys. So that's the end of this. Once again, I appreciate you hanging out, and we will see you guys next time.
Later.
Later.
Later, guys.